Over the past couple of months, I've been talking with a lot of friends of mine, as well as getting a significant amount of feedback from you guys, all with the same question. What the hell is going on in the used car market? Well, the answer, it's not exactly complex. In fact, it's very simple, but it's an age-old economic lesson in supply and demand. Now, before you and I discuss the current challenges of the used car market and how you can avoid paying an unusually steep amount of depreciation that will most likely rear its ugly head probably within about 6 months, a favor. I would very much appreciate your help with the algorithm. What does that exactly mean? Well, yes, it's subscribe and click notifications, but almost as important as that is clicking like, as well as leaving a comment, and then absolutely sharing these episodes with all your friends on your socials, especially on Reddit. Why Reddit? Because that's where we see the most lift. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, what exactly is going on in the used car market? Well, short answer, prices are artificially high. Long answer, it has more to do with the new car market, actually more to do with the supply chain. You guys have been seeing a ridiculous amount of news over the past, say, year and a half. I don't even know where to begin on all the different news, but the thing that is affecting all of this are chips, microchips, things you would see in your iPhone, things you would see in your computer. Well, most of your cars today have a ridiculous amount of chips in them. Well, when you turn off a global economy, it's not like turning off a switch and then you could put the switch back on and things just continue as they were before. It takes a very long time to switch on a global supply chain. Then in March 2020, a lot of those tier 1 OEM suppliers, translated the people who make the parts for the cars, they went to their in case of emergency break glass cabinet and they broke the glass. Why? Because one of their biggest customers, the car industry, admitted, we do not know when our demand will pick up again. We don't know if we're going to be a reliable customer for you guys. So a company that makes, say, transmissions, or a company that makes, say, tires, they don't have a lot of other places to go to sell their wares. However, a company that makes chips that could power computers, they have a lot of other places to take their demand for their assembly lines and be able to go to new customers. Now, if their forecast held true, they could have right-sized the demand of new cars with a supply of chips that power those new cars. Instead, everything went in reverse. Demand for new cars went here, and supply for chips went down here, which impacted the supply of new cars. This is where we get to the used car market. Think about this. When there are people out looking for new cars and there's not enough of a supply, they start to look at the next alternative, which is the used car market. Now, yes, you have heard me say this many years. Myself and many of my friends, we don't like paying depreciation because why should you pay depreciation when some other schmuck is willing to pay it for you? But now we're in an instance where folks who normally buy a new car couldn't get one, or at least get the one they wanted, so they have to look at that next alternative, which is buying a used car. And here's where we arrive at the current and rather painful refresher economics lesson of supply and demand. It starts over in the new car market, where we have a lot of demand, but an artificially low supply. Spills over into the used car market, because all those folks coming from the new car market who normally wouldn't be in the used car market, they're all of a sudden here fighting for used cars. But the used car market traditionally is very different than the new car market in that there's a finite supply of cars. You know all those lease deals that I always kind of crap on because I'm not a fan of leasing? That's not just about getting new cars off the dealership lots. That is a supply of used cars at 3, 4, and 5 years. Now I'm going to give you 2 specific examples. I've got one buddy here in California that is shipping his youngest son off to college. That kid has worked for the past 5 years part-time in a surf shop, saved a lot of money, and now he wants a used Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. On the other side of the country in Maryland, I got a buddy of mine, his daughter just graduated college. She worked part-time all the way through university, saved some money, and now she wants a decent car. She's thinking something along the lines of like a Kia Soul or a Hyundai Kona. Now let's start with the easier of those two cases, my buddy back east. The budget was $15,000. A year and a half ago, you could have bought the nicest used Kia Soul anyone on the planet. Maybe not the nicest Hyundai Kona. Well, fast forward to today, and a used Hyundai Kona, we're talking the most basic one, is the same price as a new one. And this buddy of mine, he is almost cheaper than I am. So that was not an option. So they start digging, and used Souls, they're not 15, they're not 12, they're like $18,000, $19,000. So my buddy kind of steps in, beats up a new Kia dealer, and was able to get a new Kia Soul for something like 19 and change, just a little bit, $1,500 more than what they were finding used Kia Souls. Now granted, he wanted a newer one, something that's going to last her a bit longer. The Taco in California, that was a much more difficult case. If you were to look at a new Toyota Tacoma, think V6 with a crew cab, four-wheel drive, that's the one you really want. You don't want a four-cylinder and something like that because it's all about torque. That's about a $35,000 vehicle. However, those have incredibly good resale. Even something with like 100,000 miles, I was telling my buddy, be prepared to pay like 15 grand. Wow, was I wrong. There was nothing cheaper than say $23,000. And that was like 130, 140,000 miles, even with a four-cylinder. They had to go to San Diego, 2 hours away, to find a 2012 Taco with 97,000 miles. Yes, it was a V6. Yes, it was four-wheel drive. And you could eat off the engine of this thing, but 25 grand. Back in 2012, I don't think it was 35 grand. So whoever bought this thing probably paid low 30s for it and got $25,000 out of it. Now, yes, in both cases, one could absolutely say they are worth what the market will bear. But here's the challenge. The problem on the new car side, it's not an economic issue, it's an unusual shock to the system. Kind of like the real problem we are facing in the overall world economy of too much liquidity in the system. This is kind of the opposite. There's not enough liquidity in the system. There's not enough chips in the system to manufacture the new cars, thus the problem in the used car market. So that brings us to the key point of this entire discussion. What happens to an asset that you paid $18,000 for that really was worth somewhere between $12,000 and say $15,000? I'll tell you what's going to happen. In about 6 months' time, when we fix this supply chain issue, that asset is indeed going to be repriced, but not $12,000 to $15,000. It's going to be repriced to what it really would have been worth in 6 months' time. So you're going to get a hit for that artificial premium you paid plus what the normal depreciation is. That is a huge percentage on an $18,000 asset. Now, yes, we could extrapolate the math up or down. It does not take a brain surgeon to realize how big of a problem this can become as the asset value increases, which brings us to the most important question of this entire discussion. How do you protect yourself? Well, there we have to go to the words of the original Miyagi-san, otherwise known as Pat Morita. Daniel-san, best defense, no be there. Translated to 2021, this is a terrible time to be in the new used car market. A better idea would be taking a pile of cash, put it in the middle of the floor, and light it on fire. Hopefully, I have not been unclear. If you absolutely, positively need to replace your vehicle because of many different issues that keep you from getting to work, that kind of thing, okay, I get it. But if it's about, oh, I want a different color, or I want something with more power, wait, maybe 6, 12 months. Let me be even more clear if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly. I see this problem, at least on the new car side, fixing itself in about 6 months' time frame on car lines that frankly make more profit for more car manufacturers. If you're running a business and you have a limited supply of chips, which line are you going to deploy them to? Then cars that are more mass market, like the Kia Soul or the Hyundai Kona, I see that being fixed somewhere in the 12-month time frame. Now, how does that impact the used car market? Because there's always going to be a lag. We'll take the timelines we just discussed and tack on maybe 3 months, maybe a little bit longer to see the prices come down in the used car market in those respective segments. Now, the other solution is do what my buddy back east did. However, in his daughter's case, her previous car looked and performed about the same as Chitty Chitty Bang Bang did before Caractacus Potts bought Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, so there really wasn't a choice there. However, in that case, I did suggest find a delta that is really, really small. And the reason why I say that, you're gonna get hit with depreciation both as the car normally depreciates and having to pay for that artificial spike in the price of the vehicle when you bought it. So if you're buying a new one, that price, it really hasn't changed. You're just paying a bit more. So you are coming up with more out of pocket, but you get more of it back when you go to sell the car. That's the only other solution I would suggest, but the one I would really say is the one to go with is don't be in the market. But net, the best solution would be to put off any purchase right now until we get out of this cycle. Let me put this another way. There was a great book I read by Dr. Henry Cloud, and one of the best sayings I got out of that book is rest and let a solution occur. And this is the point of the episode where I turn this around to you guys to opine in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, I would once again like to humbly remind you that I would love your help with the algorithm. What does that mean? Subscribe, hit notifications, absolutely hit the like button, comments, and yes, share this with all your friends on your socials. Until I see you in the next episode, bis später.